beautiful city of Chicago. Before it became into the city it is today, it went through a series of major events. Events such as the Great Chicago Fire, the starting of the meatpacking business, and the Haymarket Riot.
When we talk about the great city of Chicago, what comes to mind? To some, it might be the famous food such as their deep fried pizzas or Chicago-style hot dogs or even the John Hancock Building, a 100-story skyscraper. But today, we shall focus on the Great Chicago Fire. So what happened? The fire started on 8 October and for 3 straight days, the fire burned the city down to a crisp. The fire spread throughout the city rampantly and it's mainly caused by the material used to build these buildings, which is wood. The fire only came to a halt on the 3rd day, when Mother Nature smiled upon the city and brought rain to fight alongside the firefighting force of Chicago. How did it all happen? Nobody knows for sure. There are many rumors and legends about what caused the Great Fire. The most commonly known reason is a car knocking over an oil lamp, burning down the whole barn followed by the whole city. Some state that it was a group of men gambling in a barn and knocking over a lit lamp. And Robert Wood, an engineer and physicist, even suggested that the fire was caused by methane gas released by the Biela comet. After the fire, the city suffered massive damage. As much as 300 lives were lost and 100,000 civilians were left homeless. The city also suffered $200 million worth of damage, which includes the roads, the sidewalks, the lampposts and buildings that were burned across 2,000 acres of land. What happened after? The fire made the civilians question the development of their city. The civilians started to industrialize and develop their city even more. They managed to rebuild Hotel Palmer House and renamed it to the world's first fireproof building. Chicago also managed to develop the country's leading firefighting force. Today, St. Michael Church, Chicago Water Tower, Chicago Avenue Pumping Station are the only buildings that are from the burn district that are still standing after the fire.
After the unfortunate event of the Great Chicago Fire, the civilians knew that they could not let this happen again, so they decided to industrialize and develop their city, which led them to...
The Gilded Age in USA started during the late 19th century from the 1870s to 1900s. The Gilded Age was an era of rapid economic growth, especially in the North and West America. The meatpacking business started in Chicago. It was founded by Gustavus Swift. He was at first a cattle dealer, then when he came to Chicago he thought that the meatpacking business would be a great idea. So he made the meatpacking business a highly coordinated production and distribution network in the world. Gustavus Swift collaborated with the railroad companies and came up with the state-of-the-art refrigerator car, which made Chicago center of American beef butchering. This refrigerator car was a state-of-the-art invention. It kept the meat cool while being transported to Chicago. There were 4 contributions to the meatpacking business. The first, the factory was at the middle of many hogs farms and corn farms. The hogs were taken care of until proper age and condition to be shifted to the factory via railroads to Chicago. The second contribution, the location of Chicago is right at the middle of USA. They can send their packed meat easily to the west and east. Also, Chicago is located near a port, so it can transport their goods to other countries around the world. The third contribution is that there were a lot of immigrants to work in the factory. Thousands of immigrants come in every day. The meatpacking is purely physical, so unskilled workers can come and work in the factory. They needed a job at that time, so they worked no matter how low the wages were or how dangerous the job was. The fourth and last contribution to the meatpacking business was they built tracks right next to the factory, so it was easy to transport the animals to the factories. As you can see in this map, this is the network of the meatpacking business in USA with the help of the railroad companies.
But what happened in the end? These jobs proved to be dangerous and had cost many lives. Workers were also displeased with their low wages, which ultimately led to the Haymarket Riot. Ah, but you must be wondering, how did it all begin? The Haymarket Riot was a result of police violence towards strikers during their demonstration for an 8-hour workday with no pay cut. When local anarchists found out, they quickly printed and distributed flyers calling for a rally on the following day at Haymarket Square. While the strikers were peacefully protesting, a bomb was thrown into the midst of policemen, killing one and severely wounding 6 others. Policemen immediately opened fire at the strikers, killing 4 and wounding 70 people. The entire labor and immigrant community, particularly the Germans and the Bohemians, came under suspicion. Union organizations such as the Knights of Labor and craft unions were quick to disassociate themselves from the anarchist movement. Investigation of the explosion went under, resulting in 8 men being labeled as anarchists.
So earlier on, we've heard about the Knights of Labor disassociating themselves from the anarchist movement. But who or what exactly is this Knights of Labor? Let's have a look.
The Knights of Labor was founded in Philadelphia 1869 by Uriah H. Stevens and 6 other tailors. It began as a secret society to protect its members from employer retaliations. It included both sexes, skilled and unskilled workers, except for non-producers.
So next, we will look into the declination of the Knights of Labor. So, when did it decline? It declined after the Haymarket riot, but why? Well, mainly for 4 main reasons. Firstly is because of the Haymarket bombing incident, and secondly because Knights of Labor lost public favor. Thirdly, because growing dissatisfaction of craftsmen who felt that the union favored the interests of unskilled workers, and also that people thought the Knights of Labor supported violence. Therefore, the Knights of Labor was disbanded and the American Federation of Labor was formed. Well, now let's have a brief introduction of the AFL. AFL was established in 1886 Columbus, Ohio. Samuel Gompers was the main person behind the formation of AFL, and AFL is a federation that organized unions only for skilled workers. AFL mainly focuses on 3 things. Firstly, securing higher wages for its members, better working conditions, and a shorter working week. It is an organization that believes in strong negotiation tactics. AFL also takes a far less radical approach, moderate, less political motivated views and realistic goals. It proved popular, and at the height of its success, the AFL attracted over 3 million members.
So there you have it. From all these 3 events, that is how Chicago became the wonderful city it is today.